Hi everybody, I'm Stuart Small, founder of GForce Golf and inventor of the GForce Swing Trainer. In today's video we're going to talk about transition. What we're going to do is we're going to go and look at the 3D analysis of probably the best player in the world. That's shallow as a downswing, and that is Sergio Garcia. We're going to look at the key points that he's doing, the key things he's working on to shallow that club. And we're going to have a look at a little tip that he put on YouTube, feeling that he gets on the downswing as well, which is going to help all of you guys out who are struggling with coming over the top. You're losing speed, and if your hip rotation is stalling, it's all down to this transition move, which I'm going to teach you how to get right. Let's go check it out. Okay, let's check out Garcia's transition. So this guy shallows the club more than anybody on the planet. This is why you got to take serious notice of this video, because I'm going to show you how to do it. Maybe not as much as Garcia can do it, but certainly we can get rid of your out to in swing path. We can get the club coming down into a better delivery position with more speed. So a couple of things. Pelvis sway. This is the center of the pelvis here. When you swing back, you don't want it moving off the ball too much. So basically you don't want it moving off to the right too much. A lot of players tend to slide the hips over in this direction, which is a big no-no. We can go a little bit. I think the maximum a lot of tour players will get to is between maybe 1.5 inches sway. So if you look at that figure there, we can see Garcia goes back. He gets to less than an inch. I mean, that's tiny. It just shows you how centered you want to be staying on your backswing. And then you can see before he's even reaching the top of his golf swing, he's moving back to the original starting position. So when he actually transitions, which is there, the center of his pelvis has now shifted slightly further forward than where it started. Okay, so that's a real key thing that you got to get right. And I'll show you how to do that with the head on the wall drill and getting your backside against the chair when we go outside in a minute. Okay, so that's number one. Right, next thing we're going to look at is thrust. Okay, so what is thrust? Basically, you probably know it as early extension. Okay, so it's when the hips thrust towards the golf ball. So if we go back to the start again, so here's the center of the pelvis, or the hips, are probably referred to mainly from what you've been watching. But what tends to happen with a lot of players when they swing back is the center of the pelvis will thrust forwards, aka early extension. What you're going to see with tour players is they either don't thrust forwards at all, you know, this thrust here will stay at 0, or they'll thrust very little, you know, maybe up to an inch. But there's very little thrust there. So we're going to see as Garcia takes it back, as he goes into the backswing, he thrusts a little bit. I think he gets to about an inch maximum. But then that reverses. So as he comes down, he's actually coming back in to originally where he was in actual fact going in the opposite direction. So the pelvis is actually moving backwards a little bit as he's coming through. Okay, good reference for that. And this is what's so cool about gears. It's got all the tools on there that we can check out and, you know, help you really see what's actually going on in the golf swing. You know, none of this is my opinion. This is all real data. This is what's really going on in the golf swing, and I'm just telling you what's happening and how to correct it. So what's really cool is this feature here, the vertical plane, and it's got like a pressure point on it, so we can see his left butt cheek is more on the plane to begin with. You can see there it's just poking out a little bit. All right, so if you want to get rid of your thrust, your early extension, okay, you got to get your backside up against the chair. What you're going to see as he goes back is he'll push his right butt cheek into that imaginary wall, and then as he comes down and through, it'll slide back across to the left cheek into the finish. So basically we're going to see the backside is always staying up against this this wall, this imaginary wall behind you all the time. That's what you're trying to feel. So you could get your butt against the wall, get a chair, video yourself, draw a vertical line down, make sure you're in that position, make sure your backside's not coming off that. The other thing you want to do to prevent yourself thrusting without a club, just get your head against the wall, cross your arms like so, and then the key, have a chair back here as well, so your butt, but the key is to make sure that your butt stays against the chair and then your head is staying against that wall. Okay, that's really going to minimize any thrust. You can see a tiny bit there, not a lot. Okay, most golfers the head would be outside here somewhere, the hips would be, or the center of the pelvis would be further forward. You've got to get this bit right. Coming down, look how he stays in there. Head against the wall, backside against the wall. Hardly any thrust. Okay, that's really important for you to do. Right, let's get to this transition part though. This is what this video is about. I'll be doing thrust again at some point, so we can talk a little bit more about that. Okay, so the transition, what we can see here, this grey line going back, that's the path the hands are travelling on the way back. This yellow line coming down, they're coming back down on a narrower path. So we're going wide to narrow. Okay, again, that's going to help you pick up speed. See the hands go back wide and then they tuck in. All right. Now tuck in is really important, because what you can actually see when Garcia transitions, he's pulling the handle down and tucking in, right elbow into the right side. And when you look at him from down the line, more so, he's doing this more than a lot more players on the tour. Look how close his right forearm and his hands are to his body. They're really close, they are. So it's not a nice tight path coming down, keeping everything tight into the body, hips are rotating out of the way. And that's just a quality position to get into. The shaft halfway down, pretty much parallel with the feet. And then he can just turn hard from that position and the club will naturally square on the ball. So that's what we've got to do, guys. You've got to feel like you're pulling the arms and club down, straight down, because remember, it's going to want to fly out in front, okay? You got to pull it down, you got to tuck it in, prevent it from flying out. You got to keep your head on the wall here, your backside against the wall here, and you're going to hit it pure. You're going to maintain lag as you're coming down. So this angle here, the lag, is going to help you maintain that more. Tucking the arms in is going to really help your hips clear much quicker and build up more club head speed. And then if you get into a good delivery position, you can just rotate through, and then there's no manipulation as you're going through. Let's go outside and then talk through it.
So here we are. This is the final part of the swing, which is going to be downswing and follow through. Obviously now we're in the perfect position up top. From here, two important things that you have to remember. One of them is going to be the beginning of the downswing. It's important to pull down with the club. It's important that you do it with your arms, not with your body.
So what did you think of Garcia's tip for the downswing move? He's talking about the first thing is to bring the arms down, get the arms and the club down before the shoulders. Okay, so he's pulling down, right? How many times have you been told to leave the club alone at the top? And unfortunately, I've told you that myself before. I'm admitting that to you, because I've always followed people that, I thought had the knowledge and I was being taught the right thing by them because I didn't know any different and I was learning. But leaving the club alone at the top of the swing is the worst thing you can do in transition, and it's the main reason why you're going to come over the top. Because if you leave the club alone at the top of the swing and rotate your body, your arms and club will naturally move out in front of you this way, because rotation causes objects to swing out. So if I just relax my arms down by my side holding my golf club and start twirling around in a circle, you can see how my arms swing out. And that's the physics of rotation. So if you were to do the same in the golf swing at the top of your swing, get into position and then feel like you do nothing with your arms and rotate, you're going to be coming over the top. All right, so we've got to pull that club down. That's the most important thing, and we've got to keep it tucked in because it's wanting to swing away from us all the time. So the feeling you got to get when you get to the top of the swing is once you're in position there, like Garcia, is before you start to unwind the shoulders and the hips, you got to feel as though you pull that club down. You know, get a feeling of the right elbow, tuck it into the right side, pull that club down so you can get it into a better delivery position. And then from that point there, you're just going to rotate into the ball hard because the club will be on a nice shallow angle. And then from there, you can rotate and square the club face up consistently. If you're doing it any different, if you're at the top and you're feeling like you're leaving the arms alone and the club starts to swing out this way, then the shaft becomes a lot more vertical, and then you're going to have to start to compensate, you know, thrusting the hips forward to try and get the club onto the golf ball. So we've really got to make sure that we're pulling the arms and club down to shallow the club, get it in position where you can rotate hard and freewheel, and the club will square up naturally with zero manipulation. The other thing you're going to see a lot of these top players doing, which I've discovered using Gears 3D, is they don't tend to thrust the hips forward. They keep the pelvis very centered. You know, you hear a lot of people talking about early extension, and that's what we call it in 3D. It's thrust. Okay, so the best players in the world don't have any thrust, or they have very little of it. Okay, so how are you going to stop yourself thrusting? Well, the best thing to do is get your head up against the wall, cross your arms against your shoulders, and get your backside up against something like a chair. Because what we're trying to do is we rotate back, your head should stay against the wall, and your right butt cheek should brush against the chair as you go back. Okay, big mistake people make is they're coming through into the downswing when they transition, which is what we're going on about today, is that their hips will tend to thrust forward. So everything's moving in this direction. Okay, so you're going to have to compensate to hit the golf ball. So if we can actually keep the head against the wall, the butt on the chair, so as you go back, you're going to feel your right butt cheek brushing the chair. The key to keeping this pelvis centered and not thrusting is as you unwind and rotate through, you're trying to brush the chair with your backside all the way across to the left butt cheek. We can see that with Garcia in the video, and then through into the finish there like that. So I'll never forget one of the best feelings I had when I was striking the ball as a young kid, and it was pulling down. That was the feel from the top. I felt as though I was pulling the arms and club down, and that was the key move. Garcia is talking about it. It makes sense when you look at the physics of rotation and how it causes objects to swing out. So we've got to get back to that move if we all want to start shallowing the golf club a little bit more in the downswing. And really what that's going to help you do is a lot of things. It's going to prevent you from swinging out to in. It's also going to help you stay centered with your pelvis, so you're not thrusting forwards, because when you come this way you've got to compensate in other ways to hit the ball. And then you're going to generate a hell of a lot of speed, because when you come down on the correct plane with the arms tucked in close to your body, you'll rotate through the ball so much better, so much faster. Because when you end up sort of casting or throwing the club out, when your arms are further away from your body on the downswing, your hip rotation will stall. When your arms stay much closer and tighter in, you're going to turn a lot faster and automatically. You know, I always talk about the ice skater analogy. When you see them on the ice twirling around, when their arms are out, they spin around slowly. When they tuck their arms in, they spin a lot quicker. So if you're out with your arms coming down, your hips are going to stall. They're going to get in the way. When you get to the ball, you're going to chicken wing and everything. Whereas if you can actually transition, pull the club down, tuck the arms in, then your hips are going to rotate for free. And then you're going to get all that club head speed with no manipulation. So that's the feeling I'm getting. Getting to the top, pulling the arms and club down first. You know, you've probably seen Justin Rose doing that sort of movement. Go and copy that, trust me. And then from there, set up to the ball. Boom. So give that a shot. Any questions, pop them down in the comments and I'll get back to you on those. Thanks for watching.
I just caught the GForce train at 8. It's like the orange whip, only well made. You could hit shots with it, watch the ball fly. $100 said the first 20 go right. It'll train your rhythm, get your game back to where it used to be and maybe where you never knew. Pick it up, give it a rip. You need another toy, not another tip.